Hey, bro. What are you going to teach me today?
A lot of neat stuff. You're gonna love this lecture.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first lesson of Teach Me Mogster. I'm Emo Tempest, and I'm here to share some insight with you on a couple of interesting factoids or rulings, anything that might help you guys in the competitive organized play season this year. I do plan on doing more of these as rulings come to me, so something to look forward to. I hope you enjoy this. Please, if you've learned anything from this video, I would appreciate you to like the video and share it in your discords. And if you're not already following and subscribing, please do that as well. So let's get started. First thing I want to share with you guys is here in the official page we have this nice little tab up here. It's called Play, and we have this. And if you haven't gone through this, I recommend you stop by here, if not the first week or after the first week of the new set dropping every time. And you have this. Welcome to the FAQ section. Make sure to check it out regularly. Agreed. Opus 22 is officially here now. I believe it was live earlier on, and if you haven't read this already, you should. There's a lot of cool ones. We're not going to go over everything, obviously. I'm going to leave that up to you. Again, if you need the link, I can put it in the description. It's not a problem. But again, it's the official page. You should know where to go. I'm going to just highlight a couple of these that I thought were interesting. Now, I've gone over a lot of these a couple times actually, and I couldn't. Some of them are actually, very, very informational and and they're helpful. There's some that I still want to question, so I'll probably take these, further up. I don't know further up here, but I do want to run it by some judges to see if it makes sense. I oftentimes, I know a lot of things get lost in translation. This is supposed to be the right answer, but some of them for me are still off. So again, just gonna go over a few of them. One I think we'll see a lot of is the Sephiroth. This new Sephiroth, at first I was a little indifferent about him, but actually after reading this I found it way better than he actually is. So Sephiroth, if the forward is chosen in the action ability, becomes unsuitable target for resolution, meaning if you remove the target, right, to break a duel forward or whatever, it is not possible to cast Sephiroth removed from the game. So very important to know. It's kind of like I was actually going to save this one for another episode, but if you pay the kicker for, like, let's say the Shiva, the latest one cost Shiva, you will not get it back to your hand as well. After if the target is removed, right? So things like that matter. So I thought this one specifically was important for us to know going, into tournaments or, running into ice at any given point. So if the action ability is used during your opponent's turn, which at first I didn't realize we could, you can cast Sephiroth on your next turn. So you don't have to burn all 6 CP on the same turn, which is the best part. If the action ability is used during your turn, you can cast Sephiroth on the same turn, obviously, right? That's what we knew. But like I said, so just keep this in mind. If you're running into ice, you don't have to be on it the whole time, but if someone does play Sephiroth, don't just say, okay, resolves or whatever, let it go. Think about it for a second, right? Like, do I need to remove my forward so they can't cast this? I kind of make them burn that CP, and then they'll lose Sephiroth for the remainder of that particular Sephiroth anyway for the remainder of the game. And then the other ones too, it's like you can always threaten this on your opponent's turn. So if you have enough floating CP, you can just cast it, right? And obviously you can, if you have both of them in your hand, multiples, you can just break them from your hand, right? They're hand traps. And so very strong card, much stronger again than I had really thought of, I guess. But yeah, we can move on. The next ones were gonna be, again, I wanted to cover one in each one, but there's not too much. That's not too hard. I think it is it's not these. It is the Titus. The Titus is one of the ones that I feel like we don't see enough of, and I wonder if maybe this is why. So I wanted to highlight it. So the Limit Break Titus. CP is paid at resolution. After paying the cost, the selected effect is placed on the stack. That we know, right? So very simple. When he comes in, he triggers an auto. You can respond, and then you pay at resolution if no one responds, and then the other effect goes on the stack. Very simple. There's 2 autos. Even if the total number of forwards and backups becomes 7 or less after paying the CP, the subsequent auto ability is resolved appropriately. What does this mean? So again, there is 2 autos on Tidus. The first auto is at the point of where it needs to check for the 8 plus, right? And so if your opponent doesn't respond there to remove the number, the count or whatever, then after you pay, the next effect is going to happen unless it gets modded, unless you have an Amaterasu in hand, right? So it's a very important. Remember, there are 2 auto abilities, and it's a very important window timing for you to get it right. I wonder if a lot of players aren't sure that when to punish this or when it's safe or etc. Right? Like, so I just wanted to shine some light on this. I'm big, I'm using mono water, and I really want, and I think it's important for all of us to know how these things work. So just something to keep in mind. Again, doesn't really matter if you have Amat overall, but I would definitely Amat after they pay the cost, because that one you can stop. But again, if you want to change the number of forwards and backups on your opponent's side of the field, you would have to do it at the start of the first auto. And the last one, again, because obviously 8 will be very relevant. Eden, the amount of damage you deal to each forward is decided when they are chosen, right? So cast Eden, target forward A, forward B, they will both take 15k. Pass priority. That's how this card is played. Obviously, it can't be reduced or whatever, but that way, at that point, your opponent has to know what they're dealing with, right? So, again, now there's a very few scenarios where you're going to be able to get past 15k and save them, and whatever, for whatever reason, right? But it's not impossible, and so that needs to be said. And again, some of these might have been obvious. I just think it's important for us to know them, and so these are the ones that I wanted to talk about here. Again, there's a few of these in every color. I highly recommend you guys check them out. Again, the link will be in the description for you, even though you probably don't need it. But yeah, we can move on now. All right, and now I put these together, a couple of these together, just to go over some other interesting interactions or things that have come up while playtesting the latest set. Right? Again, I plan on doing this for, there's going to be more episodes of this just as the rulings come to me, as I have to ask them. Because obviously it's like always, if you're asking them, or if someone in your group is asking them, someone somewhere else has or needs this answer as well. And so I'd like to save you guys some time, or at least get you ahead of the curve so you can ask the next questions, right? But yeah, so the Cypher Fujin Raijin package, the disciplinary committee, if you will. So Cypher enters the field, and you may put the top 2 cards of your deck. When you do so, choose a forward, right? So when you hit either Fujin or Raijin, their abilities also go on the stack, right? It says when Fujin is put from the deck into the break zone, you may play. Same thing with Raijin. Now, if you do hit either one of them on Cypher's ability, his first auto, then both of the effects will trigger. So let's say Fujin will trigger, and then Cypher's effect will trigger to target a forward. Again, if this needed to be said, it can. If not, whatever. But so because they both trigger at the same time, you can choose the order in which they resolved. But Cypher does have to have a valid target at that point. Why did I want to bring this up? Is because I wanted to see if you could. It had crossed my mind to consider if I could trigger the Fujin or the Raijin first, mill 2 more cards, and then maybe change or have a better target, or have a target if there was none to begin with, right? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You would have to, it doesn't matter which order you put them, Cypher still has to target as soon as the ability hits the stack. So, just like the picture, Cypher says, use your head. But yeah, that's the way that one works. Very simple, but just keep an eye out too. Again, I highly suspect there will be a lot of 8 decks all the time being run. So next, we are going to Limit Break. A lot of, everyone's already covered Limit Break a little bit, and I know some of the rules are out there. I just want to reiterate, whenever you play one of these, it is considered a cast. for all intents and purposes, cast will, when you're doing cast count, or I pretty much put this together for the next effect, pretty much the next card I wanted to talk about, but it's very important that you know, right? Vossler. When Vossler attacks during this turn, the cost required to cast your next forward is reduced by 2. It cannot become 0. What does that mean? Just like I said, your limit break cards that we just showed or just talked about, they will all come down by 2. So your Cloud is a 2-drop, your Little Leela is a 3-drop, and Mont Leonis is a 6-drop. Obviously it applies to everyone else. Your Mott, your Toto, whatever you want. But Vossler is very good for that reason. So just keep that in mind. Also, again, as long as it doesn't become 0, it can be put together with any other cost reduction, like the new Yuna, or Chaos himself. He has reduced cost equal to the number of forwards your opponent has on the board, elements, excuse me. And so that's an important one. Next is going to be Minwu and Jet. So the first ability, choose a card in your break zone. During this turn, you can cast it at any time you can normally cast it, as long as you have no cards in your hand. You can only use this ability during your turn and only once per turn. So we can cast Jet, or we can use so Minwu is like a weird, lingering action ability. So after you target a card, you can use that at any point, and then you can target it. So after you can select this while still having cards in your hand, but you cannot play that card until you are completely handless. This also applies to. I wanted to bring this scenario up too because Jet can come out for free. He is technically, his effect is still going on. Jet, the cost required to cast Jet is reduced by 1 for each fire character you control. So if you have no cards in your hand and you target Jet with Minwu, or you can target Jet first, remove all the cards in your hand, and then cast Minwu. And then cast Jet. It's just important for you guys to understand how these cards work and how how Minwu works, right? This is more of a Minwu than a Jet thing, but this applies, for any fire decks. Again, fire is very relevant. If you want to play this, or if you want to know when to catch your opponent, this is when you do it. Yeah. That's very important to understand. Again, Minwu, I think, is a fantastic card. She will definitely be seeing a lot of play. Jet as well. If you guys haven't played against fire decks, you probably should. They're pretty good. And then, yeah, that's it. That's the important one. Remember, you can target while you still have cards in your hand. You can pick any card in the break zone while you have cards in your hand, but you cannot cast it until you remove all the cards from your hand. And then things like Jet, their reduced cost or whatever, can be will be applied. Same thing with Vossler, right? It's the same way. As long as the reduction is there, you can cast it. It's all the same. So just keep that in mind. And then the last one, just because I love this ability and it's probably my favorite one, Lena. She says if there are 2 or more different elements among characters you control, draw 1 card. If there are 4 or more different elements among characters you control, your opponent selects a forward and they put it in the break zone. Lena reads just like Chaos, so Toto will fill all the colors for this, and you can pay 3 for your Lena and get both effects. Remember, they are 2 auto abilities, so a Mott can only stop one of them. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Teach Me Mogster. Please, again, if you learned something, make sure to like the video. And leave if you want to talk about it or discuss any or share any, so I can share them with the community going forward. Please leave them in the comments. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something. I'll see you next time.